Roth accounts can be one of the most powerful and one of the simplest tax tools that most of us have available to us. But as a financial advisor for over 20 years, unfortunately, I've seen people make mistakes and misuse Roths that ended up costing them tens of thousands of dollars, in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I've even heard legitimate stories about people missing out potentially on billions of dollars. Don't believe me? Let me give you a simple example of somebody that used the Roth IRA correctly. This is from NBC News, and it's titled, "Billionaire Investor Peter Thiel has $5 billion in his tax-free retirement account." And ProPublica, which issued this, said that the document showed that Thiel started a Roth IRA 22 years ago with assets at the time that were worth less than $2,000. Those assets are now valued at $5 billion. Now, had Thiel used a different type of investment account, that would likely be in a taxable account, and he'd have to pay taxes on that. So using the Roth IRA correctly, most of us are not going to give up on billions of dollars, but many of us could give up on tens of thousands of dollars. So let's jump in. Let's talk about how to use the Roth correctly and how to avoid costly mistakes. This article is from an organization called Bolden. They are a software company. They used to be called New Retirement. More on New Retirement and Bolden later. But the article is called 15 Common Roth Conversion and Savings Mistakes That People Make. The article was written by Kathleen Coxwell. I know Kathleen. She's a very smart woman. And this is an excellent article. We're not going to go over all 15, but we're going to go over the most important ones. And one of those is not investing appropriately. And with the Roth IRA, it's all about growth. The advantage of a Roth is when we get growth in it. So we want to make sure that we're putting the right type of investment tools into the Roth. So if you have a taxable account, a tax me later account like a regular IRA, a regular 401k, and you have a Roth account, you likely want to have the high growth assets in the Roth, because as that grows, that's growing tax free. So this is not financial advice. I don't know your situation, but these are things that should be on your radar screen. Okay. The next one that Kathleen talks about is she talks about using a Roth when you're in the highest tax bracket. And let's see why she says that. If you're in your highest earning years, chances are you'll probably be better served with a traditional contribution than contributing to a Roth during those years. And if you think your taxes will be lower in the future, a Roth conversion is probably not right for you now. Now, why does she say that? I agree with her, but I also disagree with her. Peter Thiel was probably in his highest tax earning years, but because he put the right types of investments in that Roth account, he's still far better off having done that in a Roth versus a traditional account. So it depends on the situation, but in general, if you think your taxes are going to be higher in the future than they are today, then it makes sense to pay the tax now. So think of a Roth as tax me now, but never tax me again. And so if right now your taxes, let's just say, are in the 20% area, and you do a Roth conversion, let's say your overall tax rate on this conversion is going to be 20%, and you convert $500,000, that's going to be $100,000 in tax. And let's say it doubles, and then you take that money out. So the 500,000 less the 100,000 is 400,000, and then it doubles later when you take the money out. So how much money you're taking out? You're taking out 800,000. But if your tax rate was the same, let's use a regular IRA account. If your tax rate was the same when you put the money in, then when you put the money out, you're indifferent. Let me give you the example. The $500,000 goes into a regular IRA, not a Roth, and it doubles. It doubles over the next 5 years. So now instead of $500,000, you've got $1 million, but you're going to be taxed on that entire $1 million, right? Because when you put that money in originally, it wasn't taxed. So you're paying the 20% tax bracket, 20% tax bill. How much money are you left with? It's $800,000. So those two are the same. So if your tax rate was identical, you would be indifferent between a Roth and a regular IRA. But if you think your taxes in the future are going to be lower, then in theory, you'd want to pay the tax when your tax rate is lower. So in that case, you would put money into a regular IRA, which is why Kathleen is saying this. If you're in the highest tax bracket, makes less sense. But what we don't know is what taxes are going to be in the future and how much that account is going to grow. Okay. The next one Kathleen talks about is converting money to a Roth without following the rules. And this is really important because if you take money out of a regular IRA to put it into a Roth, you've got to be careful because if you have the custodian, the place where your money is, like a Fidelity, a Schwab, a Vanguard, if you have them send you a check that you're then going to deposit with a different custodian in a Roth, the clock starts ticking. You have 60 days under current tax law to redeposit that money, or guess what happens? The government says that that was not a conversion, but it was a withdrawal. So if it came out of a regular IRA, you're going to owe ordinary income tax on that. And if you're under 59 and a half, you could be assessed that 10% penalty. So Kathleen talks about the rollover, the trustee to trustee transfer, which is what I suggest you doing. If you're going from Fidelity to Vanguard or you're switching custodians, have the custodians exchange it directly between each other as opposed to a check going to you and I, and then us having to send the check out again because the clock starts ticking. You go on vacation, you forget about it, and you get back home and you thought, oh no, it's 90 days. You can ask the IRS for relief. I've seen that work and I've also seen it not work. So you really want to be sure you do this. And then if it's within the same custodian, let's say you're at Schwab and you have a regular IRA with Schwab and you tell them you want to convert that to a Roth, they can do that internally. So again, you're not getting issued that check. Okay. The next mistake that Kathleen talks about is withdrawing converted Roth funds too early. And she correctly points out that withdrawing the money before 5 years have passed, she should say could result in a 10% early withdrawal penalty. So you want to make sure that you know what the rules are. Okay, not having the cash available to pay taxes on the conversion. Here's what she says there. Unlike contribution limits, there's no limits on how much you can convert to a Roth. However, you must be able to pay the taxes due on conversion. Your conversion may be limited by how much tax you can afford in a given year, and the converted funds will be treated by the IRS as income and taxed as such. So if you need to withhold money, to pay the taxes on the Roth conversion, it makes it less attractive to do the conversion. So if you do the conversion, you can pay the tax outside of your IRAs. That's the best situation because otherwise you're giving up some of that corpus, some of the body of the account, some of the dollars that can then work hard and grow tax-free once it's in a Roth envelope. Okay, the next one Kathleen talks about is overlooking your spouse's opportunity for saving. She's right about that. She talks about usually there's one spouse that's really into financial stuff and watches finance YouTube videos, and then oftentimes the other spouse is less interested. So it's important to look at both spouses' opportunities. Okay, improper planning of when to do a conversion. The timing of when to do a Roth conversion is tricky. She lists a bunch of these here. Your income, both the current and future forecast, your tax bracket, both current and future. We talked about that already. Future changes to the tax code. Of course, none of us know what that's going to be. How much money you have in traditional accounts, available cash. So it gets complicated very quickly. You definitely want to model this out. You can find free Roth conversion tools online. I personally, the dollar amount is so much that I think it's really well worth the money to either hire a financial advisor to help you with this help you make the decision, make sure that you understand what's going on. And I know that many in my audience are never going to hire a financial advisor. That's fine. That's your decision. I urge you not to use Google Sheets or Excel to do the calculations yourself. It's just too easy to make a mistake, which is why I've partnered, and I'm proud to partner with Bolden that does this software. So Kathleen Coxwell wrote this article. She's on the Bolden team, and Bolden used to be called New Retirement, and you can sign up for New Retirement and support the channel. This is an affiliate link. This video is not sponsored, but I am an affiliate, so you'll be supporting the station, the channel at this link here. Okay, let's keep going here. This is a really important one, and that is not naming beneficiaries. The way IRAs transfer is by contract, both your IRA and your 401k. So regardless of what your will says, it's going to pass by contract. It's going to pass by what you put in your beneficiary designation. Unfortunately, I have seen people go through a divorce and years later, they haven't updated their beneficiaries. It's one of the things financial advisors work with you to make sure that you're on top of, and you do. But again, I have seen people 3 years, 5 years, 10 years after a divorce still have their ex-spouse listed as the beneficiary of the IRA. You don't want to make a mistake like that. And so these are the things to think about. Again, I do think Bolden is great software to help you out. My link is right there. And making good decisions is super important. And it's really why I'm doing this channel, is help you make good decisions when it comes to your finance. And that's why YouTube thinks this is the next video of mine that you should watch. And also, please sign up for my newsletter over here. It's completely free. I look forward to touching base with you by my free newsletter. Thanks for watching this video. Bye-bye.